I'm your host, Samantha Stone, and I'm very excited because we have three folks with us today. We're going to talk about a lot of things happening in the city. Before we jump in with any of our guests, I just want to let everyone in our audience know that we are going to have a mayoral forum, and I say we, I'm on the committee helping inform some of the formatted questions, but I'm not hosting it directly, but Woburn Public Media Center is, and that's going to be on October 24th. So there'll be more details to come about that, but it'll be at the high school as it has been in the past again. And we look forward to hosting everyone and getting into some deeper policy questions because we now have two candidates and are further along in the campaign. So I hope all of you will be able to join us for that. And speaking of lots of things happening in the city, there are two other things that I want to mention to you. One is that St. John's Baptist Church is hosting I'm going to read this because I want to get the name of it correctly, Candid Conversations with City Leaders. And that's happening on October 26th. We weren't able to arrange for them to be on the show directly, but there's lots of information available that they've been sharing out there. So I would encourage you, there's the mayor's there, president of city councils there, school committees there, Matt Crowley, superintendent's there. I think Chief Rufo's there. I don't have the flyer right in front of me, so I don't want to get it wrong, but lots of folks there to talk about what's happening in the city right now. So I would certainly encourage folks to participate in that. And the next thing, and I promise this is the last one that we'll talk about here, but lots of important things happening. Julie Cotton's joined us today from CPAC because there's a really, really important, valuable forum that's coming up. Welcome, Julie.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So I know you were a guest a few weeks ago when we talked about that it was going to come, but we didn't at that point have dates and things, but we do now. So tell us a little bit about the school committee forum and what's going to be happening there.
Hi, Samantha. Thank you for having me back on to share about this again. I appreciate that. So the CPAC School Committee Candidate Forum, our second one is going to be next Tuesday. That's October 17th at 6:30 p.m. At the high school auditorium. So we're going to have 6 of the 7 that are able to attend of the school committee candidates. That includes people who are currently running to keep their seat and people who are running for the first time. We're going to have a series of questions for each one on a variety of education topics. And people are welcome to submit questions to us if they'd like. Our email address is wps.cpac@gmail.com. We're still taking questions, and we're just going to be seeing, what we can learn about our different school committee candidates, their priorities, their values, their perspective on Woburn education, not just special education, as CPAC tends to focus on, but education more broadly.
That sounds fantastic and a really, really wonderful opportunity for people to be able to see all the candidates and what their similarities and differences are. So I think that's fantastic. Thank you for hosting that. Before I let you go, just quickly, for those who are not able to attend, will that be recorded that they will be able to listen another time? Although I hope many people will attend in person.
Yes, I cannot off the top of my head speak to if it's going to be live streamed or just recorded. I do believe that has been set up. Adam Chapman, our treasurer, has been working in conversations with Woburn Public Media Center, who we love working with. They're fantastic. And I can tell you that it will be viewable for anyone who is not physically there. And we'll be able to update that pretty soon on our website, if it's going to be live streamed or just viewable later. But yes, we're hoping for a lot of people to be present, but certainly anyone who can't make it there for any reason will be able to still, get that information from our candidates.
Excellent. And so I hope lots and lots of people will be able to attend. We have 7 people running for 5 seats. So lots of people for you to get to know. And of course, we've been interviewing candidates as well, but this is a great chance to see them all together and such. Thank you to CPAC and thank you, Julie, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care.
Next up, a familiar face who's been on the show many times, and Rob Toro, welcome.
Hey, Samantha, how are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing well, and I'm excited to talk with you because we have not that all the Woburn traditions aren't fabulous, but probably my personal favorite one is the Halloween parade. And that's coming up. And so I wanted to just chat with you. I know there's some fundraising happening for that. How close are we to goal? What do you need folks in the community to do to make sure to support this, great thing that happens?
Yeah, so super excited about this year's Halloween parade. I've been a member of the Lions Club now for about 7 years. This year I am the president, so you're a little bit more involved. But it's always
That mean we're going to see you waving from the convertible as you drive
yes, well,
by?
not a convertible, but yes, I will be out in the parade, not collecting money this year, but driving down the route. So that is true, and throwing out candy.
That's the most
Um,
important part.
Yes, for sure, for sure. So a lot of people are aware of this, but a lot of people don't know. The parade is fully funded by the Woburn Lions Club. It takes about $50,000 or so to put it down the parade route. Right now, we're about 70% funded, um, which is okay, but we certainly need some support from our local businesses and also just donations from the general public to help fund the parade. All the money that we raise either before the parade or during the collections during the parade is all donated back to iResearch. We don't keep any of it for any other reason. So it's all donated back. So every dollar we raise after putting the parade on is all donated back. So any help would be appreciated for sure.
Yeah, and I know lots of us, bring your cash with you. You'll see lots of people come by with buckets and blue tarps and collecting money. And just as Rob mentions, that money is donated to research. It's not necessarily to go towards the putting on the parade, but the parade costs a lot of money. We have most of the usual suspects and fun things planned. Anything unusual happening this year we should know about?
Not necessarily. So we do have, I think, 3 new school bands being added to the mix. So I think that brings us to about roughly 70 floats and about 20 bands. So you get a lot once you're in. You get a lot of people that want to continue the tradition and continue to stay in. So you do usually see the same suspects that join the parade with the addition of a few extras. So I feel like it gets a little bit bigger every year. So generally the same people with a couple additions. I do want to just mention again, as we are all volunteers, we do have a parade committee that kind of handles the bulk of it. So there's a group of them, probably a little bit over a half dozen, and they work tirelessly to ensure the parade goes off without a hitch. There's always hiccups. Sometimes a little slow to respond, but they do an amazing job in addition to their full-time job. And the month of October is a very, very busy month for the Lions Club.
I bet. And I'm so grateful. And, it is such a fun, unique tradition for Woburn. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll actually be not that this matters to anybody but me, but it'll be the first time I'm doing a public event since I started my chemo journey. And so I'm super excited about the chance to go out there. I will be masked and I will be covered and careful and all of that, but I feel safe being able to do that where I am. So I'm like extra excited about the parade this year, even though I'm always excited about it. But awesome. Rob, before I let you go, we connected about your campaign, gosh, way back right after you had announced that you would be running for City Councilor-at-Large. And I thought, while I had you, before I let you off the hook, just do a quick touch base. Let us know, there's a lot that I'm sure you've learned as you've been out talking to residents and campaigning and doing the work that you're doing. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you've learned. Maybe they surprised you. Maybe they just, are new discoveries.
Yeah. So, I announced very early on, probably announced sometime in the April timeframe. And I've been truly involved in the community before that, but extra involved since the campaign. I've been out knocking on doors since right after 4th of July, generally by myself, but occasionally my wife will come. My daughter's a wife. But generally
I have to ask you, more people open the door when your daughter's with you than it's just you?
I get less of the question, are you trying, of me, am I trying to sell solar panels or cable or something, when my daughter's with me? So I'd say people are a little bit more open to open the door, but the response and the reception has been fantastic. But I think the big difference is prior to me really starting to knock on doors, my main reason for running was because I wanted to help make Woburn a little bit better for my children than it has been for me. And that's not a knock on Woburn. I love the city. This is where my wife and I decided to raise our children, and we're going to live, forever. But there's things, the city's growing, right? Everybody knows that, the population, and there's just a bunch of different things. As I've been knocking on doors, talking to people, you see random concerns of constituents in different wards, but you see a lot of the same questions and concerns. And a job of the counselor is really to address those concerns of those people that elected you, right? So my platform has kind of got a little more specific, and a couple of those things is realistically, as a counselor, being available, transparent, a little more proactive, right? We have some great counselors on the city council now that do that. But I think you need more of that. You need some more proactive actions and being available, right? But other topics like sensible development, right? I'm a contractor. I'm not a developer. We talked about that the last time I was on. But sensible development, making sure what is being developed is right for the neighborhood and the area, looks right. Are we talking about the secondary consequences of some development, things like that? And I have the experience to do that based on my background. Providing our departments with the proper resources. I was endorsed by the WTA. I'm a big advocate for our schools. Partially because my two children attend school in Woburn. My wife's a school teacher, but I've always been an advocate for the schools. So making sure the teachers in our schools have both the resources and the infrastructure to properly educate the children. But not only just the school department, we're also talking about other departments, fire, police, DPW. Make sure they have the resources to support us as residents, right? And then traffic. Traffic always is synonymous with bigger cities, right? We can't get rid of it, right? But there's ways to address it, maybe alleviate it a little bit, right? So looking at options on how to do that. I don't have the answer. I don't have a clear-cut answer on how to do that, but that's definitely something that we need to address. Um, I think that's a big focus. So providing the resources to us departments, being transparent and being available and just listening to people, right? Listening to their concerns and addressing them and getting back to them. And then the sensible development, I would say.
Great. Thank you for that recap. One more question, then I'll let you go. So I do want to talk with Lou, and we've got lots of good stuff to cover there as well. One of the things that hadn't happened when we first spoke was that we all know that there's been a number of refugee families who've moved into our community. And as someone who's really paying careful attention to the work of the city council and the administration overall, how do you think we're doing in terms of both making those folks feel welcomed and part of our community, and also balancing the any economic burden that might come from that, and making sure we're doing all the things we can to manage the situation in a positive way?
Sure. I've been asked this questions numerous times, knocking on doors, how we're going to address it. I think everyone realizes the situation that we're in is a challenging one, and certainly a difficult one, and complex, right? Um, a lot of people aren't aware that Woburn doesn't really have a choice in this situation, right? The state places them in Woburn, and Woburn then has to handle the situation appropriately. So, from the first time we got migrants into the city, I think our departments, to include our mayor, our department heads, our city council, the numerous volunteers have done an amazing job in welcoming the migrants into the city. And the departments have done the best that they can to actually address the situation. That's changing all the time. Um, we do get funding from the state and DESE for education, but that's short-term funding, right? It's unsustainable in the situation that we're in now, and we do need some more funding options. And again, we don't know how long this is going to last, right? We do need some more guidance and some more action, I think, on the federal level. The city council did recently, at one of the committee meetings, ask our state delegation to come in to address the situation, and I believe they have accepted. So I think that's coming. So I think,
Yeah, I have Representative Haggerty is going to join me in beginning of November just to talk in this forum about from a state level some of the activity that's happening there.
perfect. Yeah. So I think the city has done a great job, as great as they can, dealing with a very difficult situation. I think we need a little bit more resources from the federal government, and maybe a little more guidance from the state. But Woburn has done an amazing job, based on the resources they have and the situation we've been placed in.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's always good to catch up. And
Sure.
I'm sure we'll see lots and lots of people at the parade and while you continue your campaign trail.
Thank you so much, Samantha. Have a great one.
Thanks. Welcome, Lou.
Hi, Samantha. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it feels like just yesterday that we were talking about your very first campaign. Maybe for you, it's the slowest 2 years, but for me, it felt pretty fast. Tell me a little bit about what that first term has been like for you and what you've learned or maybe been surprised by.
The first 20 months, literally baptism under fire. There's a lot going on. I have a very busy ward in Ward 6. You know the dynamic up here in North Woburn. There's a lot of residents. There's commercial, there's industrial. We got condos and townhouses and apartments, and we have, hotels. There's been a lot going on with the New Boston Street Bridge and the larger projects like Fairfield for the 425 units, apartment buildings, CCF, Cabot and Forbes. They're still in the process of getting their project and encompassing all of the permitting and that's required for that project. So we're still in the process of that, as well as, they say we're a legislative body for the city of Woburn, but quite honestly, there's a lot that goes into constituent services. I'm constantly, in my ward, involved in my ward, on a daily basis. So as far as campaigning, I just feel like I never stopped. Every day I'm out there, I'm talking to constituents. Constituents call me, they come to my house, and I enjoy it. And we have very long, involved conversations on, numerous aspects of not only North Woburn, but Woburn as a whole. So it's been just it's challenging. I'm not going to lie. It's a lot of work. I enjoy it. And the reason why is because I want to give back to the community, as a lifelong, resident, a member of the community, third generation, as a matter of fact. There's 3 generations of Dimambros that have lived in Woburn, and we've all of us, we all love the community and we love the city. And I just felt this was my way of giving back. And I'm just trying to, make sure that as long as I'm in the seat on the city council for Ward 6, that, we're heading in the right direction with the progress. And quite honestly, I think we're in the process of a 50-year flip. I think we're redeveloping, North Woburn and revamping it to something that's more modern. It's a more modern aspect in terms of housing, as well as commercial, and apartments are part of it as well, at the state level. They require it, and we're trying to accommodate it. But what benefits Woburn is the priority.
Remind me which schools are in North Woburn? We
have the Linscott Elementary School on Elm Street, and we have the Alta Vista School, which is my old.
Yeah, I always feel like I hear, and I don't live in North Woburn for sure, but it has felt a little neglected over the years, and certainly maybe hasn't gotten as much attention as other parts of our city. The reason I asked about the schools is I wanted to confirm I was thinking of the right area. Geography is not my strong suit. I'm directionally challenged. But certainly that is an example, right, of we know that there's a school study that's happened, but there's probably lots of things like that need attention, as you're describing.
Yes, I'm on the school building committee. I am waiting to talk to Dr. Crowley on what this $600,000 feasibility study came up with. Because quite honestly, I would love to see the Alta Vista And I don't think it's way beyond, renovations. I think we should strongly consider, probably definitely tearing down the Alta Vista School, but rehabilitating the Linscott and repurposing it, maybe for school administration offices or something to that effect. But I would like to see a modern elementary school with all the modern amenities, temperature control, the technologies, the Wi-Fi's, because quite frankly, technologies is the wave of the future. And that school is, it's, as a matter of fact, I was there voting a few weeks ago, the preliminary, and quite honestly, it hasn't changed since I went there in 1977, 78. So, that's definitely, that was a priority that I ran on. It's a very slow moving type process, as you're very well aware of. But I still, I peck at Dr. Crowley every time I see him, going, hey, when do you want to talk about North Woburn and the Alta Vista and Linscott School? So, and as well as the Kennedy too. I went to the Kennedy Junior High, and the Kennedy needs either renovation or, we should seriously consider combining both of the middle schools to bring them up to speed to today's.
Yeah, I did not grow up in Woburn, so I've never been to it, but my children, who are now grown adults, went to the Kennedy, and when they went, I thought, wow, this is an old school. And they're now all in their 20s, so it definitely needs a good look at.
It was beat up when I went there, and that's
maybe it looked its age. And look, the building isn't necessarily the thing that makes a school a good or bad school. It's not the physical structure, but the physical structure and the resources you put in that enables the kind of teaching and support and all the things that go along with that. So, those are important things. What are some of the other things in North Woburn that are priorities in the next term for you? And I agree, like a lot of this is capital investments. Some of the things, like some of the road projects, aren't even owned by Woburn, so they're state projects and they take a really long time. But what are some of the things that you're hoping to champion?
It's tricky up in North Woburn, because like you take Main Street, and part of it's, again, the city of Woburn's responsibility, and then there's another section that's the Mass DOT. There's also the New Boston Street Bridge that's in the process of being constructed. I'm lobbying for a set of traffic lights to be installed not only at Presidential and Woburn Street, New Boston Street, but Merrimack Street and New Boston. I just think that, yes, it will alleviate traffic, but it's also going to open up a corridor, the 129 corridor, to North Woburn and New Boston Street and Industrial Parkway and Mishawam Road, and all of the entertainment we have down on Mishawam Road with the Woburn Village and the restaurants and the bars and everything else. My other thing is, and I've spoken to the mayor, the engineering department, planning board, I've had a few discussions in my first term. We need to try to alleviate some of the traffic and find ways to alleviate some of the traffic, and try to find some connecting routes, up to Main Street, maybe off of Merrimack, connecting New Boston Street through, Zero New Boston to Atlantic Ave over at the Anderson Station. North Woburn is extremely congested, and I understand that the bridge is going in, but that's just not going to be enough, because I believe, with the progress, will come more growth, and with the growth is going to bring more of a population to Woburn, as well as more traffic. And it's a very, very fine balance, that I've found being on the city council, that you kind of need both. Woburn, especially North Woburn, again, it's a very complex environment up here. It's very diverse with the residential as well as the commercial properties that we have up here. And to keep the taxes low and to be fiscally financially responsible, we kind of rely on the commercial aspect of it. And I know it burdens some of our residents, and they get irritated, and that's probably one of the number one concerns up here in North Woburn is the traffic. So, with the growth and the progress, we need to take and invest in our infrastructure and find, better means to alleviate that. Our infrastructure up here is, you can pick up road maps from 100 years ago and they're the same streets. They really haven't been, not much has been done with them. So that's on my docket to term 2.
Now, you actually mentioned commercial, which I'm interested in. So if, I know a lot of times we focus on downtown, right, in the center, because that is an area that serves lots of folks. But if you were to hope to recruit maybe some different kinds or new commercial investments to enhance North Woburn, anything top of mind come to mind for you, the kind of businesses we would want to bring in that would add value to the community there?
The bioscience, from what I've seen on the last 20 months being on the city council, that bubble has shrunk. We had projects that were proposed to us that are now off the table. The Davis Group down at the Showcase Cinema, they pulled everything off the table. That is no longer down.
Did they pull it off the table because we were slow to respond, or they pulled it off the table for other reasons? What were they?
I think a little bit of both. I think it definitely had there was an economical aspect to it, a financial, interest rates, building material costs, and so on. And I think they were also, from what I'm hearing, there are a lot of commercial buildings that are out there that are for lease, in surrounding communities and cities and towns, and Waltham and Watertown, and so on and so forth, that are there's nobody there. They're dormant. They're just, there's nothing going on. So I think they looked at all of that and the demographics and everything, and they saw where we're at in the market and the economy, and I think that had a lot of influence on their decisions. I would like to see up in North Woburn, more in the terms of engineering type companies, AI, robotics, cybersecurity. I think these are all beneficial. I think they're big companies that have deep pockets. I mean, we want them to come and invest in Woburn. We want them to come and invest in our community. Positive investments, with the least amount of footprint, but bring the most positivity to our city, and contribute. As well as, I feel those are the types of businesses that'll work, between the hours of a normal 7 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, our residents get, the rest that they deserve. And again, we're definitely up in a shared environment up here. We share our environment. Again, because of location. I mean, we got 93 and 95, and I have the MBTA running right through North Woburn. It's hard not to, find what we have, in Ward 5 and in Ward 6. It's this is what we've been about. That's our motto, and it's going to continue. But I think it should continue more in a tech type base.
When you look back at the last couple of years, what are you most proud of having been involved with in your role as city councilor?
The larger projects, like the new Boston Street Bridge, the fire station, the new fire station headquarters, the PFAS water treatment plant, being involved in discussions about the Alta Vista School. These are the larger projects. The smaller ones, for my residents and my constituents up here, getting them the sidewalks that have been neglected and all busted up for years upon years, streets and roads repaved, signs replaced or installed that were needed, curbing replaced that hasn't been forever and ever, and people taking water and on their properties due to it. Just the cleaning up of the tree trimmings and shrubs, and just the maintenance of North Woburn, and keeping an eye on the maintenance, and because again, we have this industry, we have commerce, we have hotels, and having a well-maintained environment will bring the desirable businesses that we are in search of. as well as, residents appreciate it. They like seeing, the streets well maintained and proper lighting and telephone poles fixed and lamp poles fixed. And, I'm big on, I'm a big advocate on infrastructure and maintaining it. That's one of my, that's a pet peeve of mine, not having an infrastructure that's properly maintained. So, as well as I came in as an outsider, and I have to say, through perseverance and a lot of hard work, I've gained the respect of a lot of department heads, and I couldn't have done it without all the department heads, and every single one of them, from the DPW to the police station, the fire, and everyone, everyone in all the departments, planning board, the Board of Appeals, engineering, they've all, given me the support that I've asked for and requested, for the residents up in North Woburn. So I'm very appreciative of that, and I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of the support and the friendships that I have brought to my city council chair, as well as also I have to mention the building commissioner. He's been great. Tom Quinn has helped me out immensely. He brings, we go ride-alongs. We do a ride-along once a month, looking at all the different projects and everything else. And he knows I take a vested interest, so he takes, time out of his day, and he's got a very busy schedule. I'm very appreciative of the help from every single department. I really, truly am.
Well, that's great. And it's so important. And we're so grateful for your service. Before I let you go today, anything else you want voters to know about either the campaign, things you have going on, or just in general about how you hope to serve the next term?
I'm self-financed. I kind of approached it with a different approach this year. I sent out mailers. Again, I'm constantly in my ward. I don't hide. I don't come out once every 2 years. I'm out there every single day. I talk to my constituents, whether it, on Facebook, on my 2 accounts on Facebook. If it's instant message, they call me on my cell phone. My cell phone's listed on the City of Woburn website. They call my office phone. Last night I talked to a constituent for 1 hour and 28 minutes that wanted to be brought up to speed on things. I feel that, again, constituent services is, I think, extremely important, and it's not just campaigning once every 2 years. I believe, I guess I'm pseudo campaigning for the last 2 years, so that, it's easier when it comes time to for a re-election. Everybody gets to know me, as well as volunteering at these different events, at the shredded event, at the tire recycling, the hazardous waste recycling, all these events, as well as all the social events throughout the city. Whether myself or with the wife, we try to take, and I try to attend everything and anything I possibly can and stay as active as possible, as well as going to a lot of the different committee meetings and so on and so forth. So I really have tried to be out there and be out into the public. So and try to tell people, give me a call if you've got questions. Call me, email me. I have tried to do that. On my next term, I'm gonna hit it as hard as I did this term. I have a lot of things that I would like to see. Again, I would love to see a new Alta Vista school. I would like to at least see, the process moving forward on that. I know it doesn't happen overnight. Infrastructure, redevelopment of the North Woburn Industrial Park and revamping it on the 50-year flip, and making sure, the appropriate businesses are going in there and they're right for our city. And they're going to benefit our city, and they'll accommodate, our hours of operation, so that we can give our residents some, the rest and relaxation that they deserve as residents of the city. So I'm gonna just continue, the same course as I've been. Quite honestly, I can't wait for November 7th to be over, so we can all just get focused right back on, the everyday tasks that we had, that we faced, a month or so ago.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm always so appreciative of candidates' willingness to come on the show and talk openly about what's going on. And Woburn, as always, please continue to take good care of each other. And I hope these election interviews are helpful for you as you make important decisions as you prepare to vote coming up in November.
Thank you, Samantha. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Lou.